In the vast sea of websites, your Contact Me section isn't just a form, it's your digital handshake, the gateway to meaningful connections. But how do you craft a contact section that's not just functional, but a work of art? Let's dive into HTML and CSS to create this contact section that leaves an impression. Of course, it has the title, the form input sections, including the name, the email, and a text area for the message. It has a button with some hover effects and some social media icons below it. Create a new folder, give it a name, and open it in VS Code. The first file we will need is the index.html. And obviously we will have another file, styles.css, for the styles. Throughout this tutorial, we will be using an extension called Live Server, which will enable us view changes in real time. First up, we will add our project title. Then link the CSS file. Next, let's set up some global CSS styles. The first one being the box, sizing to border box. Padding, 0. Margin, 0. List style, none. Text decoration, none. Background, to this color. Color, white. Let's see what we have. Please note that I'm using the Live Server extension to view this. Perfect, we have a blank page with background color set. We will be using a Google font for this form. So, in a new browser, type Google Fonts. And of course it is Google, it must be the first one. In here, search for a font called Zine. Then select the following styles. Now paste the CSS rules you just copied. Perfect. Next up, we will need some icons. So, I will be using my favorite source, which is boxicons.com. In here, go to Usage, then scroll down to Usage as a font. Now copy and paste this style sheet in the HTML. To design the body, we will start with a div element with a class of wrapper. This div acts as a container for our entire content. Add a section, with class contact section. In the section, add a h2 heading with class section title. This will be my heading. Please note that you are free to use a heading of your choice. Below the heading, add a div with class contact page container grid. This is what we have for now. Inside the container grid, add a form, with class contact form grid, and ID contact form. Inside the form, create another div with class contact group grid. In this one, create a div with class contact card. In here, we will have an input with class contact input. The type is text. Name to user underscore name. ID to name. This will be required. And the placeholder will be enter your name. Below this input, we will add a label, with class contact label. The text displayed for the label will be your name. Duplicate this division. Then change the following. Next up, let's add a text area for the message. Create a div with class contact card contact area. Inside it, add a text area with class contact input. Set the name to user_message. ID to message. Remove the columns and rows, then set it to required. Add a placeholder, which states please enter your message. Below the text area, add a label, with class contact label. The label should state your message. Below this division, add a button, with class contact send button. The message on the button will be send message. It will also have a type, set to submit. Perfect. We are now done creating our contact form. Next up, let's add some icons below it. Create a div with class social icons. Inside it, add a link. And set the target to blank. This will facilitate opening the link in a new tab. In here, we will add an icon from Boxicons. I need 4 icons, therefore I will duplicate this. Then change the names of the rest of the icons as shown. Please note, you can use your preferred icons by simply searching them in boxicons.com. Well, there seems to be an error with one icons. Let's find out. Here it is, Dribble has a triple B. This should now be perfect. We are now done with the structure of our contact section. Time to style it up in the CSS. We will be starting with this wrapper. Set its display to flex. Justify content, center. Align items, center. Height, to 100% of the viewport height. Next up, let's target this section title. Text align, to center. Font size, 35 pixels. Add a margin bottom, of 20 pixels. Let's add a line break, so that this words move to the next line. Nice. Next up, we are going for the contact page. Set the maximum width of the container to 600 pixels. Width, 100%. This makes the container responsive by ensuring it takes up the full width of its parent element, allowing it to adapt to different screen sizes, while still respecting the maximum width of 600 pixels. Lastly, add a padding of 2 rems on all sides of the container. Moving on, let's style the contact form. In here, set the display behavior of the contact form to a grid layout. Then a gap between the 2 grids of 1 rem. Next is the contact card. Set its position to relative. Width, 100%. Height, 58 pixels. Margin bottom, 20 pixels. Next, we target these inputs. But first, we need to know their specific class name. So, for the input, we set the class to contact input. We will set the width and height of the element to take up 100% of the width and height of its container. Background, none. Border, of 2 pixels, solid of this green color. Add a padding inside the element, of 0.5 times the size of the root element's font, applied to the top and bottom. And 8 rem, which creates a larger padding on the left and right sides. Lastly, a border radius, of 5 pixels. Next is the contact label. Let me just confirm its class name. Color, to white. Position, absolute. Top, -16 pixels. Left, 16 pixels. Font size, 0.813 rem. Padding, 8 pixels. Pointer events, to none. This disables pointer events on the element, allowing clicks to pass through the label. This is used in cases where the label overlays an input field, allowing the input field to still receive focus and clicks. Transition, 0.3 seconds ease out. Coming up next is this text area for the message. As always, I will first find out its class. First, we will increase its height to 100 pixels. We also need to disable this resizing feature. So, for the resize, set it to none. Nice. Next, the button. And here is the class we should be targeting in the CSS. But we won't, we will directly target the button. And the reason for this is, sometimes, it's easier or more efficient to target the element directly rather than specifying multiple classes. So set the display to inline flex. Justify content, center. Margin top, 2 rem. Background color, to this green. Color, white. Font weight, 700. Padding, 1 rem on top and bottom and 2 rem on the left and right. Border, none. Border radius, 5 pixels. Transition, transform 0.3 seconds ease. Let's add a hover effect on the button. We will add a transform property that scales the button to 1.02 times its original size. We definitely have an error here, let's find out. Add hover on the button element. And that should now work. On to the last part of this video, we will style the social icons. Now, you might be wondering why every time I have to confirm the class names. This is just to explain to you where I get the class names to target in the CSS. It also helps every beginner know what the hell is going on. I could simply use the class names without having to confirm, but since I care about you getting the detailed concepts, I have to show you. Now, hit that subscribe button as an appreciation. Moving on, set the display to flex. Justify content, center. Margin top, 1.5 rem. Align items, center. Perfect. Next, we need some space between the icons. So, add a margin of 0 on top and bottom, and 5 pixels on the left and right. Now, let's target each icon. Display, inline flex. Height, 40 pixels. Width, 40 pixels. Background, white. Color, to this. Align items, center. Justify content, center. Font size, 18 pixels. Transition, transform, 0.3 seconds ease. Lastly, we will add a hover effect on the icons. On hover, the background will change to this green. Color of the icon to white. And a scale property of 1.02 times. Perfect. On the thumbnail, we had both dark and light versions. How do you then have this light version? Change the background to white. And the color? To the dark blue. For the contact label, also change the color to the dark blue. And here you will have the lighter version of the contact section. That is it for today. Now, give this video 300 likes and I will provide the code for free. Bye, and see you on the next one.